Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Terrifier podcast. My name is Camille.
And I'm Daryl. We are a Pinoy physical therapist duo living somewhat unconventional but intentional lives. We aim to achieve financial independence in a few years, but we make our journey fun so we don't go crazy.
In this podcast, we want to learn how Filipinos all over the world in different industries and walk of life earn, spend, save, and invest money to achieve financial independence. Today, we are going to chat with Mr. Jerome Paguyo and 𝐤𝐨𝐤𝐤 on their journey towards financial independence.
Hello, Jerome and 𝐤𝐨𝐤𝐤. How are you guys doing?
Hello, doing good.
Thank you for accepting our invitation in the podcast.
Thank you for
Of
your
course,
time.
our pleasure.
So,
Happy to be here.
Oh, great. Glad to have you.
Nagsama pa nga siya ng isa eh.
Can you introduce yourselves the way you want others to introduce you or know you?
You want to start, Yola?
Okay. So I'm 𝐥𝐨𝐤𝐤𝐤. I'm a physical therapist. I got here in America back in 2016, and I've been here for about 5 years. Started my fire journey, I'd say back in 2017, 2018, somewhere there.
All right. Jerome?
Okay, so I'm Jerome. I moved here to the US 2014, so I've been working more or less around 7 years. I'm a hospital-based physical therapist and have been working to reach FI since 2017 and 2018 as well.
Okay.
Tagal na nila nag-start, no?
Medyo maaga nga kayo. Yun nga yung inaano rin natin na pag maaga nyo sinimulan is mas ma-achieve niyo siya. Mas maaga nyo rin na ma-achieve yung financial independence. Pero it's not too late for
Yeah, it's not too late for other people na ngayon lang nakarinig nito.
All right. So our next question is, what events, content, or instances have pushed you to start your FI journey? Let's start with Jerome first.
So I was introduced to FI when my wife's cousin and her husband visited Houston a couple years ago. So they were traveling for one whole year, and we talked amongst ourselves. We said, I wonder how they were able to afford traveling for 1 year without working. We talked to them about it, and they pointed us to the resources needed. They introduced us to the concept of Choose FI. We were listening to the podcast, we were consuming as much content as we can, and we realized that the husband of the cousin was Big Earn, one of the more famous people in the FI community.
Wow.
So, every now and then we ask him if you have questions, like where should we invest and things like that. Then he was the one who pointed us to the FI community.
Nice. So nung once you were introduced to the financial independence retire early community, did you start right away, or did it take you some time to think about it before you started investing, or how did it go?
We were just, dipping our toes first. We started off with a Roth IRA, traditional IRA. Then as we got more comfortable, we started out, maxing our 401ks, and, whatever we invested, we just learned to live with whatever remained in the paycheck.
Nice. So tinry niyo rin siya na unti-unti hanggat kaya.
Did you guys did that on the same year na nalaman niyo yung about sa FI?
Yes, it was around the same year.
Okay, nice.
Kasi typically yung iba, like kami, medyo nag-antay-antay pa.
Medyo matagal na kaming nakikinig sa Choose FI o mga ibang podcast, pero mukhang hindi yata para sa amin.
Parang mahirap.
Baka medyo mahirap. How about you, 𝐤𝐨𝐤𝐤? How did this journey start for you?
So it started with me thinking about how to refinance my car loan, since I got a high interest rate because I don't have a credit score when we got here in the United States. So I was wanting to lower that. wanting to refinance that. So I joined this subreddit, personal finance, and in that subreddit, there's a lot of people talking about FI, FIRE, and I was curious about what FIRE was, so I searched more about it, and then I found Choose FI, and then I started reading some blogs, listening to podcasts, and then from there, started doing investing, brokerage, 401ks. It's actually Jerome who convinced me to max out my 401k. I was contributing like 10-12% before, and then because I was afraid that it would be too much, but after Jerome told me na it's pre-tax, it's not as much amount of money that's going to be taken out of your paycheck as you think it will be. Then I started doing it, and then you can barely notice it, especially taken out of your 401k. So from there, you just keep learning about investing. And
so you started also the same year that you knew about the
yeah, so I would say around 2017 is when I learned about it, and then December of 2017 I maxed out my Roth IRA, and then I opened the taxable brokerage.
Nice.
Nakakatuwa, no? Kasi even they were scared at first kasi bago lang sila dito eh. Pero knowing that knowledge, talagang in-apply agad nila.
Yeah, and we can actually relate to the 401k issue. In my
May
case,
issue siya. So.
I only contributed when I got here. My coworkers and my managers told me to just contribute the match, and then that's it. Then let it be.
Right.
So meron din kaming fear na baka naman pag kinontribute ko lahat, wala nang matira sa akin. Paano pag nagkaroon ng emergency? Yun nga lang, kailangan mo nga lang ma-realize na maglalagay ka rin ng emergency fund, pero kailangan mo ring pag-ipunan kasi yung retirement mo. Yung older self mo, kailangan din niya ng pera in the future.
Yes.
And then you will reap also the tax benefits of maxing out your 401k. Did you eventually get a low rate on your car loan?
Yeah, so I actually got to refinance that.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I just paid off my car. Me and my wife just paid off our cars. I think just last month. So
congratulations.
Yeah.
Own your car.
Yeah. So it's a big financial addition to our expenses. So more investments to our more money going to our taxable.
That's very true.
Pero recently, nagka-problem ka dun sa 401 mo no?
Yeah, ang naging problem ko naman sa 401 ko noon. Kasi this is actually the first year that I maxed out my 401k. I wish I had done it before. But what happened is I have 2 jobs. My first job, I maxed out my 401k, and I forgot that I'm still contributing 401k to the other job. So I'm actually a little bit, konti lang naman yung excess contributions, pero I'm working on it now too.
And it was hard at first to communicate with the office because they don't know what to do because they're like, parang nobody really maxed out their 401k.
And how are you contributing excess?
And why do you have excess? Parang crazy ka ba?
Yeah, so, pero ngayon,
that's a good problem though.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
I think there are safety measures. Normally, if you have one employer, they would automatically stop once you meet the maximum amount. I think for this year, it's 20,500. But if you hold multiple jobs, that's up to you. You're going to have
it's
to...
It's up to me.
Yeah. We didn't know that.
That's my bad. I forgot that I'm still contributing to the... I told the employer, it's actually my fault, but can you please help me because I don't want to get penalized.
We learned something from it though.
Yeah.
So ano kayong dalawa? What is your why of I mean, yes, you wanna do this and that, pero ano ba talaga yung nagpo-push through sa inyo na pagising nyo na umaga, okay, mag-invest talaga ako for this and that, automatic na yun kasi bakit?
For me, I just wanted to do more of, what I really wanted rather than just work. I'm not saying that I don't like working. It just tends to be a little bit mundane and repetitive over time, especially if you deal with patient care. No matter, even if you say that every patient's different, it kind of feels similar to a certain degree. And with work, you get maybe 2 to 4 weeks of vacation, and that's not enough, right? You
Yeah.
don't want to just take 2 to 4 weeks of vacation, then at the end of your working career, age 60, 65, you say, how did I spend my life? Did I just work for the most part of it? I didn't get, we love traveling, but we weren't allowed to really spend as much time as we want to, given the constraints of work. And, that's why we
Mhm.
try to push towards this movement.
Yeah, so mostly traveling kasi yun nga rin yung naging motivation ng yun yung nakita mo na ginagawa ng cousin mo tsaka ni Big Earn na nagta-travel sila for 1 year. So I'm thinking na yun talaga yung hatak sa'yo ng financial independence movement. Pero tama ka naman nga, it's not like you don't like your work. You're a good clinician, you have this certification and all that, and you want to help your patients, but you want the option to not work and to do whatever you want.
I remember one of my patients, she told she was working as a medic before, she and her husband. Kaso nangyari nung nagtatrabaho sila, ipon lang sila ng ipon para pag nag-retire na sila, they can travel. They can buy an RV and then travel all over. Kaso nangyari, by I think mga 40s nila, nagkasakit sila. So lahat ng naipon nila napunta sa medical bills. So end up, hindi rin nila nagawa yung gusto nilang gawin talaga, kaya sila nagtatrabaho. So I guess having this option na we can stop kasi we have this money
and we can pursue
other careers,
other things,
like yung paggawa ng coffee ni ang ganda ng mga ginagawa mo, ha? Nag-i-improve siya every time nakikita ko.
So aside from FI, Jerome also influenced me in coffee.
Oh.
Ano na mga nagagawa mong animals? Sa kanya may swan na, ang ganda, no?
How about Yolo? What's your YFI?
So for me, the biggest part of fire that that's really motivates me is the freedom. Going to work, work being optional is something that I really strive for. I want to be able to choose what to do with my time. Like you said, or like Jerome said, what you guys said. We all love our jobs. Physical therapy or any healthcare job is very fulfilling, as you can really see how you help your patients. But there's compassion fatigue. There's repetitiveness. It's a job. So having that freedom of working because you want to do it, not because of the money. Is the goal, basically.
Basically the freedom.
Yeah, if you just want to work like 2 hours, you can. We actually have one coworker before. She's like working as a part-time. Pero ano lang siya, she's only taking like 2 patients a day. So yung pag-spend niya sa patient per day, even just a regular visit, is more than an hour. Just because she loves her job.
Yeah.
And hindi siya yung parang she's just there for the money. She really likes to help the patient. Like everything that could help the patient, she will do it.
So the quality of work actually is better now that she's just working less hours, because the patient receives the best care, because she's not motivated by money, but the love of patient care.
Lahat ng special test, ginawa niya ka mo. Anyway, what specific strategies that you were comfortable sharing in managing your finances? Ano yung mga strategies niyo, guys?
For me, it's more of dollar cost averaging. So we try to invest routinely throughout the year, whether it be every week, every 2 weeks. Don't time the market, because timing the market can be very risky. For example, if you think that, or if you see that the market is having a bad downturn, like what we had in January, the S&P dropped 15% almost. You're going to be driven by your emotions. You're saying, oh, I'm going to have to sell all my stocks or sell all my index funds, ETFs, whatever. But the thing is, you're going to have to time another one. You're gonna have to jump back into the market. So you have to make two guesses. You need to guess when you're gonna jump out and when you're gonna jump in.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're just avoiding that altogether. So ignore the noise, just invest routinely. Then, you know,
So do you mostly have a company 401k, and what other accounts do you invest into? Do you have a brokerage? Do you invest in crypto or
Real estate.
real estate?
Mhm.
so most of our investments are in pre-tax. So your 401k, your traditional IRA. So
Mhm.
that's around 70% of our total net worth.
Okay.
We also have a Roth accounts, which are 10-15%. Then the
Mhm.
rest would be a mix of taxable brokerage and maybe 1% in cryptocurrency. We want to increase our um, taxable brokerage because that will be the bridge when you retire and when you start doing your Roth conversions. You start tapping into your taxable accounts because when you do Roth conversions, it needs to mature for 5 years before you can actually draw into the account.
Mm. So yun yung magiging drawdown strategy mo pag retire ka eventually. Yeah, that's good. It actually tama yung sinabi mo na if you time the market, you have to get two things right. Yeah.
Mhm.
You have to predict kung kailan ka papasok, kung kailan ka lalabas. So might as well just do
Yeah.
the dollar cost averaging,
Yeah, and
which
all-
is what we're practicing as well.
Yes, in all honesty, we don't know na bumagsak na pala yung market.
We don't even look.
Yeah, hindi na kami tumitingin. Parang nalalaman lang namin sa ibang tao na, uy, bumagsak na yung market. Basta kasi naka-automatic na lahat sa amin. Automated na lahat. Okay,
Mhm.
every paycheck, natanggal na siya. Pero pagtingin naman ng paycheck, wala nang laman.
Nasa investment na lahat.
Pero so hindi namin, parang may patient akong ganyan eh. Nagta-time siya ng market eh. Pero alam mo, hindi maganda yung life niya ngayon.
Eventually,
Hindi, oo.
yeah, parang nagkukulang siya sa social
Ibebenta niya na
security.
yung mga stuff niya sa bahay
Mhm.
because yung mga collections niya because so I was like, good thing, parang ayoko ata makinig sa lecture ni Lolo sa market.
It's difficult, especially if you do like individual stocks. We played around with individual stocks.
Oh, you did too. Okay.
Just a small amount.
Okay.
More speculative stocks, but I couldn't stomach the big swings, so it's just a very small amount of our portfolio.
Yeah, it's just something to play with.
Yeah.
How about you, Kiolo?
Basically the same thing, but so 401ks, dollar cost averaging, it's automated. You don't even think about it. One thing I did with my 401k is so my company doesn't have the index fund that I want. I want to invest in a total stock market instead of an S&P 500.
Okay.
So if you're doing Fidelity, they have this thing called brokerage link. So you basically make your 401k into a brokerage account, and you can trade that money like a brokerage. So you can access index funds, ETFs, whatever you want. So I did that because some people don't know that you can do that option.
I don't do that.
I don't know.
I know that.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, because sometimes your choices are just what's offered by your employer,
Yes.
right? So you just apply for the brokerage account. So yung 401k mo in the Fidelity will have two accounts. And then you can use that brokerage link account to invest just like a regular brokerage account.
So what do? Do you contact Fidelity or you contact your HR to do this?
I just did it through Fidelity.
Okay.
So I called them up, I asked about it, and then they worked with me and how to apply for it. And it took like 1 day, 2 days to get it. And then I just started.
So how does teka lang, paano ko ba i-formulate yung question? So yung mga salary deferrals na from your paycheck goes to the brokerage or goes to the 401k, o may options ka lang sa 401k like the brokerage?
Yeah, so it goes to the 401k still.
Okay.
So basically what Fidelity did is the brokerage link is a fund. That so it's basically acting like an index fund for them, but then you actively manage it yourself. So it's still your 401k.
Pwede
Wow.
pala yun.
Kasi nga, actually, Fidelity din yung isa kong 401k, which is I actually experienced the same problem. Bakit walang total stock market? So, ang ginawa ko nga, nag-invest ako sa S&P 500,
So
Fidelity
you can
500.
contact them.
Yeah, I can do that. Wow,
See, we're
learn something new.
learning.
And
Although-
then, sige, go ahead, Jerome.
Although S&P and the total stock market are very highly correlated, they're like heavily weighted towards large cap. So there's very minimal differences between them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, usually it's Facebook, Apple, and Google is also a majority of the funds. Kaya nga doon na lang din kami nag-invest din. Well, this is the second best, I guess.
Saka wala na kasi tayong ibang gagawin.
Wala namang choices. Kiolo, sa bahay niyo ba, sa household niyo, do you have any hacks or strategies na ini-implement niyo in order to have more money to invest or any other techniques?
Nothing particular with hacks, but I think the biggest thing is cooking your own food. I think here in America, especially American lifestyle, you're busy, you're working, everyone just wants to be, everyone just opts for convenience. So buy takeouts and, you spend $20, $15 every time you do that, it adds up. Yes. And I think that's one of the biggest things that, where you can really make a difference is, meal preps, cooking your meals. My wife loves listing, the meals that we're gonna cook for the week, so that when we do our groceries, we plan it out, and that really helps a lot.
Ang galing kasi parang naging bonding pa nila yun, no?
Okay.
Ano gusto natin next week?
At saka in that way, you can eat whatever you want. Yeah. Actually, you're not limited to what the Chinese takeout place has.
Yeah.
Who actually cooks? Do you cook or
so
do you choose?
both my wife and I cook.
See, naging bonding pa nila. Ang saya naman.
And then, of course, living here in Oregon, there's no Filipino food. There's no Filipino restaurant. So cooking, actually, you get to eat, Filipino food and things that you like.
Kasi mamimiss mo nga talaga.
So nagkukook na kayo for the whole week, ganon. Tapos iinit mo.
Sometimes we cook for like, for example, we cook adobo, then we'll have that for lunch, for the next couple of days, and then stuff like that.
Yeah, maganda naman sa Filipino food, habang tumatagal lalong sumasarap.
Okay. How about si Jerome, may mga hacks ka ba or ibang strategies na ginagawa aside from investments sa mga 401?
At home, not really. As much as I would like to say that cooking at home saves money, it does. I'm not arguing against that. Sometimes you just want the convenience of buying to-go food. But although we cook a lot, also, my wife mostly cooks. There are those couple of days that you just get lazy, you want to get food, and whatever leftovers you have, then just eat it for the next couple of days. For saving, usually it's the big expenses. It's either the house, the car, or the food. We rent, so we don't own a house, because the very old way of thinking that when people say, "Oh, when you are renting, you're throwing money away," that is a very old way of thinking.
Oh, not really.
It's not the case. Like if you rent, you are actually paying for a space to live.
Yes.
But if you have maintenance costs, then it's them that has to handle that. Compared to a mortgage, the mortgage is the bare minimum that you have to pay. Then whatever happens to the house, then you have to be the one to fix it.
We understand that, actually. Kasi dati nung sa apartment kami, pag may problem, call the office.
Just
Ayun.
Their problem.
they'll fix it. You know?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Ngayon, pag
Very
may problem, si kanina magrereklamo. Sa amin din.
Now if there's a problem, the handyman is asking for my credit card, not
not
their credit.
their credit card.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a point. You're not throwing your money away. You're paying for a roof above your head. So yeah, that actually makes sense.
Medyo may dilemma din kami minsan dyan sa meal prep saka sa eat out. So kami, may rule na kami ngayon na at least twice a month pwede kami mag-eat out. Kasi,
Or within the budget na
or
sinabi.
within the budget. Pero kasi minsan, pag inisip namin, parang ito yung orderin namin, tapos ang tagal-tagal nang aantayin, tapos di naman masarap. Parang, sa bahay na lang. Kasi kami, vegan kami, mahirap maghanap ng pagkain na masarap mag-vegan.
Ano talaga, na quality na hindi naman namin kayang gawin sa bahay. So, pag meron kaming gustong food, gawin na lang natin sa bahay. Madali lang naman to.
Ganun na lang. So, medyo between kami nga. Ganun.
Yeah, between kami ng eating out at saka na. Pero mostly ang lunches naman namin is
kasi home
meal
care
prep.
din eh.
Meal prep.
Ano ka?
Pero usually is weekends or Fridays to Sundays minsan.
We have the option.
Yeah, we have the option.
We have the option.
Kasi as Jerome said, basta naman nakuha mo na yung mga big expenses,
Right.
it doesn't really matter yung mga small expenses. Eat or get your take out coffee or eat. It's up to you. It's the way you want to live your life.
It doesn't have to get a take-out coffee. Maganda na ngayon. Mas masarap
That's
na yung
true.
kape na
Yeah.
ginagawa.
In your case.
Tayo kukuha ng coffee sa kanila.
I mean, if a certain thing brings you joy, then why cut
Why
your
deprive yourself?
expenses? Like,
Yeah.
Okay, what if it brings me joy to order food from this place? Then, by all means, I'm going to do that, right?
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Kasi natipid mo na naman nga yung mga big expenses. So, wala naman na to. Tama. So, if there are any, what challenges did you and your family face transitioning to a FI lifestyle? May mga na-encounter ba kayong mga problema?
May mga
when
roadblocks ba?
For me, it is more of the lack of general information. Like, they never teach finance to you growing up. I know you guys have mentioned that in your podcast that talking about money is taboo in Filipino culture, but suddenly you're an adult, suddenly you have to work, suddenly you have to pay the bills. How do you make sense of everything? I guess we were just lucky that we stumbled across the FI community, but right now it's so easy to access information. Everything is so easily accessible, so there's no reason that you wouldn't be able to do this thing,
Yeah.
How about you, Piolo?
For me, I guess the biggest thing that we have to overcome is the fear, uncertainty, and doubt with investing. Everyone growing up, you hear about stock market investing. You feel like, it's a gamble. You feel like you're going to the casino and betting your money. But with the proper education, you'll find out that consistently the market returns I'd say like 7%. So knowing that data, overcoming that fear is one of the biggest hurdles. I think most people too, like Jerome and I, we have a friend that we've been advising to start investing, hey, start opening your Roth IRA, start investing in your 401k. But the fear of starting it, taking that very first step, I think is the hardest thing for everyone to do. I certainly experienced that, but I just did it and it turned out very well.
Did you make rules for yourself, parang investing rules para ma-overcome yung mga fear and uncertainty towards investing?
I would say, yeah. So more passive investing. I told myself I'll do, mostly 90% just invested in a broad-based index fund. Give myself 10% to play with, just because at some point I was interested in individual stocks and stuff like that. So I have 10% of that investing in different things. So I think that's my biggest rule, is just manage your assets properly.
So doon sa 10% na invested in individual stocks, do you withdraw that frequently, or that's also for the long term? How does that look?
It's long term. Actually, it's mostly tech. Most of the things that I know about.
Okay.
So I think I started that way back in 2017, and it's actually done more than most of my index fund, like the returns that it has. But I wouldn't be comfortable investing all my money in that. It's just all speculative. I'm just lucky that it went well. But
Pero do you rebalance your portfolio kung lumalaki siya
I'm
beyond 10%?
planning on rebalancing, but so far right now, I think the individual stocks that I chose are still a pretty good long-term investment. So further down the line, I'm planning on rebalancing my portfolio, having more bonds, maybe doing international stocks.
That makes sense. Mukhang nakabili si Kiolo ng Tesla bago
Oo
pa
nga
lang
I wish. Jerome and I were talking about
Tesla.
Tesla. Mababa pa eh.
Jerome and I were talking about Tesla when it was 150.
Yeah.
Ano na ba yung Tesla ngayon?
Before the SpaceX launch,
Yeah.
and afterwards, that's when it exploded.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the four-way split, and it's hard to live on hindsight. It's
That's
hard to
true.
say, oh, I wish I could have invested in the stock before. I wish I could have invested in Amazon when it was so and so. I wish I could have invested in Bitcoin when it was $200 instead
We
of
were actually just
40,000.
talking about that this morning. Kasi parang dati, yung panahon ni Vicky Robin, yung Eve ng FI, sa bonds nila, diba? Yun yung nag-work sa kanila. Ngayon, mas nag-work yung stocks. So, sinisip namin, paano pag next, crypto na yung mag-work? Wala tayong investment.
Baka yung next generation crypto na.
Oo nga. Tapos sabi niya, hindi na, mag-invest na konti kasi bumaba ngayon. So, mag-invest.
Pero, medyo nanghinayang nga din ako kasi nakita ko, nung time na nandito ako, merong coin na, merong cryptocurrency na parang 150 lang. Sabi ko, kung nag-invest pala ako dito, ngayon 3,000 na itong crypto na to. Pero, that's right. Hindsight is 2020. So, who would have known na tataas yung cryptocurrency is sa skyrocket, and then yung Amazon or Tesla. So,
and it also could have easily gone the other way,
Yeah.
Your money could have just gone away.
That is very true. They could have gone to zero too. So eventually, how do you see yourselves when you are financially independent? Let's start with Kiolo.
So our plan is 10 years. By 40, reach that FIRE number. My plan is to geo arbitrage. Right now we're in Oregon, so we're planning to move to Washington. So we have zero state income tax. And then hopefully I'm planning on staying somewhere in Vancouver, which is just across Portland, Oregon. So in Portland, in Oregon, there's no sales tax. So we can just basically cross for groceries and stuff. So you'll have 0% sales tax. And then working part-time, PRN, whatever, in Washington, you have zero income tax.
So not really magre-retire ka na. You still want to work after.
Yeah, so for
PRN.
me, work PRN or do I tried photography or something, something like that. Something
nice. Yeah, something that you can try something else.
Yeah, you can because you have more time.
Because you have the freedom.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
what financial.
Follow your passion, basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
It could be baka hindi mo pa alam kung anong gusto mong gawin, pero you can do it.
Yeah.
Once in 10 years. How about you, Jerome?
So we are hoping for 8 to 10 years also. We also want to geo arbitrage. However, we are looking towards Europe. We want to live in Spain eventually.
Okay.
Actually, the number one limiting factor here in the US is the cost of healthcare. It's very expensive.
Okay, yeah, that's
it's hard to amass this amount of wealth, and if something catastrophic happens, it can easily bankrupt you. So I think that's a big issue, and US is a nice place to build wealth because taxes are low. A lot of tech giants are here. The stock market has been doing very well, but it's not a place that we want to eventually retire in.
Well, why did you decide Spain?
Yeah, of all countries, why Spain? You have to practice your Spanish na.
I will eventually. My wife was born in Spain, so
Nice.
Oh,
we've
okay.
been to Spain, and she's lived in Spain for a couple months, a couple of years ago, and we want to try it out. If it doesn't work, then we'll try somewhere else. But it's something we definitely want to try.
But it's not in the US due to the healthcare cost? Is that it?
Not only that, I think people here are too defined by their work. People here are like always on the go, work, work, work.
Yeah.
It seems like it's hard for the people here to have an identity outside of work. If you're well traveled, it's very different in other countries.
Yes, it is.
That's true.
Mas may time sila with their family and friends. Tapos work is just they go there, but it's not really a big part of their lives.
And mostly they don't introduce themselves as their work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
They're like, oh, I'm so and so physical therapist.
Yeah.
What if you take out the physical therapist part? What are you?
Where are you? That's true. Yeah.
I'm Camille, ganun. Pero ganun. Pero kaya rin kami gumagawa ng mga trial retirements kasi at least you already know. I mean, meron ka na bang target na country? Okay, after once we retire, gusto namin sa Spain. Kami actually, we still don't know. That's why we're trying to go to different places and immerse ourselves there and see if, okay, will this work out for us? Sa pag naipon ba natin na to, kaya ba natin to monthly? Actually, mas madali if doon kami ditira kesa dito sa
US. Kasi ang biggest factor actually is in healthcare costs. Kasi ang insurance pag wala ka na sa trabaho mo will take thousands of dollars a month.
I guess pati yung community din.
Yeah. May mga most international insurance actually covers the whole world except the US kasi napakamahal ng healthcare costs. Which,
yeah, he got sick when we were in Mexico. Ano lang? Magkano lang
$30.
Nag-abot lang kami ng pera dun sa doktor.
Baka dito siguro thousands of dollars.
Oh, dun $30.
That's it.
Sobrang, kala namin scam yung doctor kasi parang 500. Sa kanya ba natin bibigay?
Iabot na daw sa kanya yung pera.
Pero nakakatuwa. Iba-iba talaga yung custom sa ibang bansa. Mas binavalue nila yung family, yung friends, yung community kesa puro trabaho.
Then yung work.
Is there any piece of advice that you can give a new immigrant coming here in the US na is gonna be starting their journey here? Meron ba kayong may advice sa kanila sa mga bagong papunta pa lang dito?
Na-wish nyo siguro na alam nyo na para i-implement nila. I'll start with 𝐤𝐤𝐤.
I think the biggest thing that really helped me is learning about the scarcity mindset.
Scarcity mindset.
So basically, being in the Philippines, yung buhay natin, we earn so little. So whenever you have that much money, you want to try and save it as much as you can. So, you deprive your happiness just for that sense of security for the amount of money that you have. So when we got here in America, basically your salary is a lot more. You have more money, and then you still have that mindset with you, especially if you're an immigrant. Pagdating mo dito, you don't wanna, buy a nice bed. Kasi let's just buy the cheap one. Let's just buy a second-hand one, or you don't want to buy, something that you'll be using, or something that's gonna be a big investment for you. So that's one of the things that really helped me with understanding and also doing your budget, because we've all had that guilty feeling of buying something and then you get this remorse buyer's remorse now. Why did I buy that? I don't know. Now I don't know if I can pay for this. If I have enough money, did I pay enough? Did I pay too much for that item? So knowing your budget actually eases that anxiety. It lets you know, hey, this is the amount of money that I can spend in a month, and I can buy this without, getting that anxiety and getting all that issues. So
Oh.
yeah.
Paano naging Star City
Oo,
mindset
hindi ko
yun?
bakit yung Star City ba na to? Yung naiisip ko parang Enchanted Kingdom sa
So scarcity is, your scars. Basically, you're afraid of losing all your money.
Oh, Scarcity!
Yes, a scarcity.
Akala ko Star City.
Medyo slow kami.
Medyo lola na, alam mo naman. Kailangan ng hearing aid.
Now I get it.
Yeah.
Inaantay ko. Sa may Scarcity, guys. Scarcity. SC yun.
See.
Bingi lang kami, Kyolde. I'm so sorry.
Apart from that, naintindihan ko yung sa budget part na imbes na kasi mostly people see budgets as a constraint, as a box where this is all you can do. But for you treat your budget as your freedom. I can spend as much as I want because you set the budget. Actually, no one's restraining you. So you set that, and so that when you buy something, you're not remorseful. There's no buyer's remorse because, hey, it's in the budget. I can pay for that. Yeah,
exactly.
It's actually a good thinking.
How about you, Jerome?
For me, it's just don't be afraid to invest. A lot of people are hesitant to invest because when they look at the market, it's always like all-time high. However, it's hard to build wealth without the stock market. The stock market tends to trend upward in the long run. And, over the past couple of years, the returns have been at or around 20% or more. And that has been very instrumental in helping our net worth increase significantly. If you don't have that compounding interest, it's very hard. And right now with inflation at 7.5%, you can feel it. You go to the gas station or the grocery or eating out. Everything's more expensive now. So investing is a way to stay on top. It's a hedge against inflation, and then it'll help you reach your goals a lot faster.
How would you advise people who are actually very afraid of investing? How do you
let's say with your friend, how
you will make it easy for them?
Start off simple, basics, Roth IRA and 401k. I would advise usually broad-based index funds because the risk is lower compared to an individual stock wherein you could, if the company goes bankrupt, you can ultimately lose a lot of money, right? At least with the S&P 500 or the total stock market fund, it tends to be self-cleansing. So the companies would go out. Some companies would be taken out of the S&P and new companies come in. So there is, there's a self-cleansing effect to that.
Actually, magandang advice yun kasi mostly people think that stock investing is just picking single stocks. Yun talaga yung medyo gambling kasi speculative. Pero pag in-advisean mo sila o in-advisean natin sila na mag-invest sa broad-based index funds, lower risk, meron pa rin may high gain pa rin, risky pero lower risk than playing in the stock market. Yeah, that's actually a good advice.
Kasi nakalagay lang yung money nila sa bank, no?
Yes.
We have friends like that na they're very afraid to invest kasi they might lose it. So, nandun lang. Ang laki na ng pera nila sa bank.
And when your money is in the bank, you're actually, you don't know, but you're losing money on inflation. So,
and in the stock market, you don't lose money until you sell.
Yes, yeah.
Like, for example, start of COVID, March 2020, the market dropped 30%. If you sold, you would have lost a lot of money. But if you rode the market, then you would have made a lot more money.
Yeah, we actually invest more nung nag-dip yung market.
Yeah, because the stocks are on sale.
Yeah, on sale.
That's the thing. Stocks are the only sale that people don't want to buy.
Yeah, oh my.
It goes on sale
I
and
don't know
people
why.
don't want to buy. People instead sell their stocks instead.
That's a good
That doesn't make sense, but people do that. Oh, it doesn't have to be fire related. We're towards the latter part of our interview. But what's one thing, concept, idea, or belief that you learned recently that you would like to share, and how do you how do you plan to apply this in your lives moving forward? Let's start with Jerome.
So for me, the concept of FI is not really about penny pinching. It's about enjoying what you want, living more intentional lives. Because I think the misconception about FI is like, oh, I have to spend the least amount on everything. I have to drive the oldest car. I have to buy the cheapest of everything. But, if you just spend on what makes you happy, as long as you're saving appropriately, then you'll do good. Over the past couple of years, especially in the start of COVID, we were in no way frugal nor extremely frivolous. We were able to spend enough on ourselves and save enough, and we got to enjoy and invest at the same time.
Yeah, it's just really knowing what your lifestyle is, what you want, what makes you happy, what makes you comfortable. It doesn't mean that other people are extremely frugal. You have to do that too. It works for them, but it might not work for you. And that's a very good mindset. How about you, Kiolo? What did you learn recently that you would like to share with us?
It's not. I guess it's not fire related, but
yeah, that's fine.
one thing is talking about investments. People, we invest on a lot of our finances and stuff like that, but we mostly forget about our physical health, our mental health. Those are the things that you want to invest on, and people tend to oversee, or they don't really talk about that kind of thing. So my wife and I, we've really worked on our mental health, really checking in with our mental health, and I think that's one big thing that we're really working on for ourselves, is taking care of our mental health, whether it be from work, from home, or from just daily things that you do. You need to prioritize your mental health and your happiness, and basically how you want to live your life.
Wow. So you prioritize, because with financial independence, actually some people are really stressed in achieving their FI number and eventually reaching FI. And
as early as they could.
Yeah, it can really put a lot of stress in you, on top of work, on top of all the daily problems that you have. So mental health is really important.
Yeah, it's really good to consider that, kasi who will enjoy the money afterwards?
Yes.
If you yourself may problem ka na sa physical health mo, sa mental health mo, parang
Exactly.
sino gagamit? Kapitbahay mo. Parang ganun ba? So, maganda kasi na pag-uusapan nyo yan. Ganun din actually kami ni Daryl eh. Parang ano ba nangyayari na parang hindi lang pera lagi yung pinag-uusapan namin. We have this goal to be FI as soon as we could. Pero aside from that, dapat yung journey din is worthwhile.
Yeah, as we said earlier, we try to make our journey fun. Because,
so we don't go crazy.
We don't go crazy. So we can enjoy.
Tama.
I think in the FI community, a lot of people try to sprint towards their FI number.
Yes.
And by the time they reach their FI number, they are no happier than they were before, right? That's why it's important to enjoy throughout. Not deprive yourself. During the process.
Yeah. Sabi nga sa isa naming na-interview is darating din naman yan.
No.
Mag-enjoy lang kayo ngayon.
Okay. So we're always inviting people to live life with intention. What recent purchase or money or time, no matter how crazy or expensive you spent, that brought value or joy to you in the present? So who wants to go first?
I guess I can go. So, talking about happiness and talking about prioritizing the things that bring you happiness, and basically balancing your finances towards being able to afford that. Like I said, I'm a gamer. So I really invest on my computer. I build my computer. So recently I bought a pretty expensive computer that I use, I'd say 8-10 hours a day, just playing and stuff like that. And that kind of happiness is definitely worth more than what I paid for. And that's something that I will never regret.
Nice. How about you,
How
Jerome?
about you, Jerome?
For me, it's my coffee setup.
Yeah. Coffee shop, malapit na.
Coffee machine, grinder. It's a very expensive hobby. When I started making coffee years ago, I was like, I'm going to make coffee to save money from buying coffee out. However, when I got my coffee machine, I found myself drinking more coffee. So it's almost the same. I didn't by any means save money from getting a coffee machine, but it became a hobby and became something I've been very passionate about. And if it really makes me happy, then I don't mind spending on it.
Yeah, it's something you love, so it doesn't matter if you're saving money on coffee.
Yeah, I was actually very proud pag nagpo-post ka na ng mga videos mo. Sabi ko, pinapakita ko talaga dito, tingnan mo, may bago na naman siyang animal na nagawa. Check niyo yung Instagram account ni Jerome.
So, basically, ang ginagawa mo is you buy coffee beans and you make everything from scratch? Is that it?
Simula beans ba hanggang ano?
I buy coffee. Well, I don't roast the coffee. I buy from local roasters. I don't buy from large corporations or
support the local
Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks coffee. Local roasters, third wave coffee that prioritize the bean more and the farming process more rather than actual coffee product.
Nice. So saan mo natutunan yung mga art? YouTube o meron ka bang teacher na?
Gusto mo rin ba gumawa?
Mostly YouTube.
Okay.
However, it's hard to practice if you just make 1 to 2 cups a day. So it's kind of trial and error.
How many cups a day do you make bago ka nakagawa ng swan?
It took me quite a while to get good with the basic shapes, the basic heart, tulip, and stuff. The more advanced arts like the swan or the stacked tulip.
So do you drink all the coffee pag kahit reject sila or ano?
Oh yeah.
Okay ka pa ba at the end of the day?
As much as possible, if it's ugly, then I'd still drink it. It doesn't change.
It's still good coffee. Yeah.
Pero kung paulit-ulit na paano naman yung nakatulog ka pa ba?
Yeah, there was this one time where I got so frustrated trying to do a certain art that I had to do it 3 times. I had to make 3 cups of coffee. And I didn't want to throw it away, so I just drank all 3 then.
Oh. Oras ka natulog?
It was hard to sleep that night.
So yan na din ang magiging future ni 𝐤𝐤𝐤 kasi naiinganyo mo na siya.
I actually bought Jerome's old grinder and coffee machine.
Presyong kaibigan ba binenta?
Medyo hagel. I'm kidding.
So nakagawa ka na rin ng mga art niya?
Some, yeah. Like stacked tulips.
Kaya talaga.
Yung swan ko mataba pa yung kinalalabasan.
Ugly duckling na lumalabas.
Pararating mo rin yan.
But actually, once you've gone through that rabbit hole of coffee and you've had that taste of like what it can really taste like with a good latte or even just a good Americano, you wouldn't want to buy Starbucks anymore.
Parang gusto na rin namin. May binibenta ka pa ba dyan?
May sobra ka pa ba dyan?
Upgrade na ulit.
Pag ayaw mo na nung sayo,
Nag-ship ka ba sa Florida?
Natingin ko sa yung paggawain mo rin siguro ng coffee, very relaxing. Kasi your mind needs to be really focused on doing the swan or doing the roasting of the coffee. So, parang, pwede ba namang iba yung iniisip mo habang gumagawa ka?
Yeah, for me, it's very therapeutic. It's very ritual.
Diba?
The whole ritual of preparing the coffee is very relaxing. It's not even about the final product sometimes. It's the whole
process.
The whole process of grinding the coffee, preparing it, and brewing it correctly.
It's very good. Good spending. Good spending. Both good spending of your money and your time, because it really makes you happy. Actually, learned a lot from our discussion. The one thing that I learned is when 𝐤𝐤𝐤 said that the budget for him is actually it doesn't constrain him. It actually is gives him freedom, because he knows that he can afford the stuff that he's buying. So he doesn't have any buyer's remorse doing those purchases. And that relates to what I learned from Jerome, which is financial independence is not really penny pinching. You have to know what you want, what makes you happy, and that's your financial independence journey. It doesn't have to be other people's.
I guess I'll just say what I learned from the two of them. That sinabi mo na isa. Yung don't be afraid to invest. Kahit kaunti lang. Kasi once you start, tapos you need to learn to know how to do it. Hindi yung basta gawin mo lang. And kung hindi mo alam yung gagawin mo, find people that could teach you.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because if you don't start, kailan? Diba?
Yeah, exactly.
Pag too late na. So you just have to overcome the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Just do one baby step at a time.
Yes. And eventually you'll get there. It doesn't have to be maxed out right away.
Konti-konti lang muna.
All right. So if people want to get in touch with you, can they? And if they can, where and how?
I don't really have any social media. I try to steer away from social media as much as I can. Talking about mental health. And so I mean, if people really want to get advice or anything like that, I can just give you my email, and then you can just send it to them.
All right. Yeah. How about you, Jerome?
For me, mostly Instagram. I try not to post as much content on Facebook anymore. And even on Instagram, I don't post a lot anymore. Mostly it's just stories. And it's not really meant for anyone. It's mostly I post for myself.
Yeah.
I'm not so concerned.
We love it. So just keep posting.
Keep posting. Inaabangan namin.
Inaabangan namin yung next design mo. May pressure na.
I actually had a photography Instagram account a while back, and I was trying to, do the whole Instagram thing, be an influencer or whatnot. And I just realized how much that affects someone's mental health, where you're basically just looking at that number of likes that you get, and that dopamine hit from the likes that you get, and it's just not. It wasn't for me. So I stopped doing it.
Na experience din namin yan minsan actually. So what we try to do now is we just post whenever we have new content, and then try to delete it. Maybe talk with the few people na can relate to us, and then that's it.
Then we delete the Facebook or Instagram.
Kasi mental health is really important.
Yes, we're on board with that.
I think Instagram has a new thing now wherein you can block the number of likes. You don't see how many likes a certain post has.
Hindi ko alam kung na may ganyan na pala.
So medyo progressive na pala sila. Yeah, medyo progressive na pala. Kasi yun yung pinaka bread and butter nila, yung likes at saka yung hearts eh. So
sometimes I don't want to really look at the likes or hearts anymore. Basta post ako, that's it. Bye. Parang ganun.
And it's for yourself. It's not really for anyone else. Right?
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true. So before we wrap up, Is there any advice, final piece of words you can tell our kababayans who are now at the fence in going to in joining the financial independence journey?
So for me, just don't be afraid. Just jump right in. The market is your friend. When in doubt, just zoom out. A lot of times when people look at the numbers of the stock market, they will look at it from a 1 week perspective where they see a big drop. But if you zoom out to like 1 year, 5 years, you could see that general trend is going up.
So when in doubt,
Zoom out. How about you, Kiolo?
Basically the same thing. I think, investing, there's no really such thing as short-term investing. I call it short-term gambling. It's always long-term. So whenever you invest, always look at the big picture. Don't try and look at it in a zoomed-in view.
Very well said. Thank you so much, guys, for chatting with us.
Thank you for your time. We really appreciate you both. And hopefully marami tayong kababayan na nakakinig at hopefully itry na din nila.
Investing is for everyone.
Definitely. Thank you guys so much.
Ah.